writing your own story, you've just changed the chapter. You know, you've just changed the chapter to suit your life on your terms. And that, there was lots of conditioned statements in there. That's what I mean by conditioned thinking. You know, putting someone on a pedestal is born out of conditioning. I'm going to talk about this more next week, but I want to just touch on it a little bit. That we come into this world made of love. Everything else that we've got now in our consciousness and in our subconsciousness is a learned condition. We've learned it innocently, but we have to learn something to survive, to be nurtured. As a baby, you come into this world, you can't do anything. You have to, have big eyes and a big smile to get people to love you enough to nurture you and feed you so that you can grow. You don't know anything else. And it's usually between sort of ages of 3 and 7 that it continues on. We talk about the terrible twos, but the terrible twos is just you learning to say no, to say something different from what you've been hearing up to that point. But I'll go into more detail about that next week, because I had an insight about it, that talking about terrible twos, everybody thinks that we don't have that in us, but we do. We still have it in us, and when it usually comes out when we've had a bit of trauma, or we have a little bit of a jolt, or we have something happen in our lives. We default, we implode to a way we used to show up in the world before to try and cope with things. And I suppose obsessive and compulsive behavior sort of ticks the box of why I was compulsive towards eating to cope. So maybe that's my go-to place. And I don't need to understand that. I don't need to unpick it. I don't need to call it a disorder or anything to fix it. I just need to know that, you know what, when things get a bit rough, if I let them trigger me, I will have to do something. And that must be similar to a lot of us.